Look, I get it. Destiny is too complex for you. There's so many exotics, weapons, and champion mods to choose from. Don't even get me started on the complexity of this shit. Not even Bungie know how to make it understandable. Your puny little Titan brain can't keep up. The only thoughts that should be going through your head are where forward button, and can fist hit face? Luckily for you, I've devised two completely mindless builds that will ensure your singular brain cell never has to work ever again. Let's talk about two Titan melee abilities, Hammer Strike for Solar and Seismic Strike for Arc. These two flavors are almost identical and provide maximum bonk capabilities to any build. Our first build will focus on the Hammer Strike, which does everything stated before and so much more. Hitting a target will not only damage them, but apply 40 stacks of Scorch. It will also apply damage to enemies in a cone behind the target, allowing you to take out crowds in a single strike. Each enemy that dies will also ignite. Let's throw on an Incendiary Grenade, which deals the highest stacks of Scorch out of any grenade. We can combo this with the Hammer Strike against tougher targets, giving us the last 60 Scorch stacks to cause an ignition. For aspects, we'll throw on Sol Invictus to create a sunspot when an enemy dies to our Hammer Strike, or when a Scorched target dies. Standing in this will regenerate our abilities faster, allowing for more destruction. It also gives us Restoration to help in tougher battles, and spreads more Scorch. The other aspect will be Roaring Flames, which will increase our ability damage, giving us more opportunities to lay waste to all that oppose us. For fragments, Ember of Eruption will increase the range of our ignitions, and Ember of Char will allow those ignitions to apply Scorch. The other two fragments are your choice, though I personally prefer Ember of Torches, to give me and my allies Radiant for those few occasions where I'm forced to use something so uncivilized as a firearm. Ember of Solace will also help to extend the duration of both Radiant and Restoration. For our exotic, we'll be using the MK44 Standardides. This will generate an overshield when sprinting with our melee charged, allowing us to get our targets into nose-breaking range without worrying about something as trivial as our own well-being. Something often overlooked is that this exotic will return melee energy back to us when hitting a target. Keep that in mind. Throw on Elemental Ordnance and Melee Wellmaker to generate solar wells on any kills. Next, put Elemental Charge to gain 2 stacks of Charge with Light when picking them up. Put on Heavy Handed to consume 1 stack of Charge with Light and recover half your melee energy. This combined with the MK44 will fully replenish your strike, allowing you to use Hammer Strike again, and again, and again. For the last slot, you can run Seeking Wells for easier pickup, Bountiful Wells for more wells, or Charged Up to store an additional stack. After that, build for Resilience and Discipline. This build works great for almost any PvE content. I've run it in everything from raids to nightfalls and dungeons. It can easily take out elites and mages without even needing to fire your gun. The only limitation is Charge with Light, so try to generate a solar well with your grenade first, then keep an eye on it from there. But even if you get a bit overexcited and strike before you're charged, the MK44 means you won't be waiting long to start dealing out punishment again. But hey, I see that look in your eyes. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Mallow, I don't want to manage Charge with Light. I just want to get in there and cause some chaos. Shut up. I know what you're thinking. You and I are on the same page here. We've really bonded over this video. I'm feeling a real connection. What are you doing later? Seismic Strike will damage and blind your target on hit, while also creating a blinding explosion for nearby enemies, the radius of which increases when amplified. By itself, it doesn't sound as impressive as its solar sibling. Thankfully, that's where the aspect Knockout comes in. Breaking shields and critically wounding enemies will increase our melee damage and range, while also infusing our strike with arc energy, capable of taking out entire groups. Our other aspect will be Touch of Thunder combined with a Storm Grenade. Does it help with this build? To be honest, not really, but I can't deny the power Storm Grenades have at the moment, so we might as well stick them on too. Fragments. Spark of Resistance for that extra defense while your fist gets intimate with your enemy's face, and Spark of Feedback will increase our melee damage if an enemy dares to lay its foolish hands on our perfect bodies. Once again, fill the other two with whatever you prefer. I went with Spark of Amplitude to generate Orbs of Power, and Spark of Magnitude because, again, Storm Grenades are too good to pass up. If you liked the last build, then good news. The MK44 works just as well here, so you can swap from Solar to Arc and leave it there. But if you really want to play into Arc, change it out for the insurmountable Skull Fort. Kills with an Arc melee will heal, rewarding us for our unrelenting aggression. Where this exotic really shines is its ability to fully regenerate our melee on kills. At least, that's what the description says. What it actually does is let us keep the melee on kills, which is far more useful. Once again, put on Elemental Ordnance, Melee Wellmaker, Elemental Charge, and Heavy Handed. Same as the last build, this will regenerate half our melee if it doesn't kill. If it does, Skullfort lets us keep the melee fully charged, meaning it won't remove a stack of Charge with Light. For the final mod, you can use Well of Ions to increase your melee damage, helping get those kills more often. Or, since you're only losing stacks if the enemy survives, you could run High Energy Fire, Protective Light, or Striking Light. It really depends on what you prefer. Since we aren't losing our melee on kills, the gameplay loop is a lot more simple than our Solar build. As long as your melee is getting final blows, you can keep using it as much as you want. This makes the build really strong for clearing groups of enemies for your team in raids and dungeons, or flying through strikes and battlegrounds as fast as possible. No forts required, only mindless violence. In all seriousness, these builds have been my go-to pick for a while now. They aren't as strong as some other endgame builds, but they are a ton of fun to run around with. They've certainly made grinding playlists a lot more bearable this season. And I wouldn't have made this video unless I genuinely believed they were worth your time. Maybe I'll look into making a Void or Stasis equivalent, but for now I'll be sticking to these. Hopefully you try them out for yourself, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any ideas to improve them further, I'd love to hear it. But for now, I've been your host Mallow. Thank you for watching the Starcade.